Hey there, it's Saturday morning, and I think it's still morning. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's still morning. Still morning. Aren't you glad to hear that? Anyway, so the vacuum's not in here because it's outdoors, where I brought it out this morning and painted it. I got a lot of comments from people to say leave it natural, but I wasn't seeing it natural. I didn't like the way it looks. There's too many different types of wood used. Very similar to the way the CNC table went with all the different grains and colors. I decided to paint the legs on that, and I think it looks better. The legs and the drawer fronts. Everywhere actually that I used the fir plywood, I painted on that. So can't say I did the same with the vacuum. I painted everything except for the collection bucket. I took that outdoors to do that. And as you can see from the stuff on my hands, and then I used red. But first I got to talk about what brought me up to that point. And it starts with making the inlet that the hose plugs into. And I used more scrap plywood for that. Here I'm using the rest of the bucket to mark out the curve. And then I had to draw that again because I was wasting too much plywood. And I cut it out on the bandsaw. And then I used that first piece to make another one. And that would be for the top, and that's all the 3/4 inch plywood I have that I can spare for this. So I made the rest from 1/2 inch, including making 2 of the layers not complete, so that I wound up with a hole in the middle when I glued it together. I let the glue dry for about an hour on that, and then I clamped it in my vise and started drilling the hole through it. And I'm using a 2 1/8 inch hole saw for that. That's not the exact size of the pipe that goes in. It's a little bit smaller, but that's actually better because I'd rather sneak up on the final fit of the hose by sanding it down rather than trying to cut that perfectly to the right size. I don't have anything the right size anyway, so I had to use what I had. And then after that was done, I actually used the inlet itself and that hole that I had drilled in it to drill the hole in the plastic ring. And once again, I did that with the hole saw. I just held the inlet in place and then started drilling the hole. And then after it got going, I could finish it off without the inlet in place and then fine tune it from there. And after I was happy with the fit, I glued it in place with silicone around the perimeter of the opening, the oval opening, and also wood glue to glue it to the plywood top deck and the theme baffle underneath. And while that was drying, I did a little bit of sweeping up here, and I got a bunch of mixed dust. I'm calling it mixed dust because it's got sawdust from the table saw. It's got shavings from drilling. It's got little bits of plastic from cutting the water tank. It's got MDF dust from cutting MDF on there. So real fine stuff. I put it in this bucket and then I sucked it out again with the new vacuum. And if you look carefully in this shot, you can actually see the dust swirling around the ring and also around the bucket. And then the question on everybody's mind when you do something like this is how clean is the filter after it's done? And here it is right here. Pretty clean, I would say. And here's the thing about these things. It's not going to be 100% efficient. Some fine dust will make it through to this. The objective is to get as much of that dust down into the collection bucket as possible and keep as much as possible off of this, and it seems to be working. Now, like I said, there is some dust in here, but that was the idea with the quick connect top, that I can quickly pop it off and clean the filter when needed. And looking at this, I can see right into the bottom of each pleat. Now, I know this wasn't a huge amount of dust, but yeah, it was quite a bit. I mean, that would represent, quite a bit of cleaning, because I'm going to continue. I'm not going to vacuum the floor in here. I'm going to continue sweeping the floor. I'm going to be using this vacuum for these sanding things and that CNC and anything else I need to use a vacuum for, like cleaning out drawers. And also, if I'm sanding, like doing a lot of sanding out here, I'll hook it up for that. But that's the purpose and the use for that. It's not for general cleaning. I'm not going to be vacuuming the floor. So I can see myself probably taking this out once a month and bringing it outdoors and blowing it out. So yeah, looks good to me. Works good, I think. In an ideal world, this filter wouldn't see any dust. But this is not an ideal world. What you're shooting for is something approaching optimal. I don't know where it was that I read it or heard it. Probably read it. I probably read it. That there's an optimal amount of dirt in your house. That sounds like kind of a nasty thing, but it's true. You can, like, if you're clean, you have to clean to a certain limit. Otherwise, you'll be spending all of your time cleaning. You can't perfectly clean anything because basically as soon as you finish wiping it, something's landing on it from the air. So optimal is the point where you say something's working as well as it needs to work to be efficient. And efficiency is a measure of how much time you're spending doing certain things, like cleaning your house, okay? And a filter is a perfect example of that. My changes to that thing accomplished two big things. It increased the capacity, the collection capacity of the unit itself, and plus it made it so that I could wheel it around the shop. It had wheels long ago. I took them off to put them up there. But it also made it so that I won't have to clean this filter as much. And it also made it possible to use a smaller filter because it seems to be working just fine with this size filter. So yeah, plenty of suction, and I've improved the utility of the shop vac and made it so that it's suitable for what I'm looking to do here. And like I said before, many times, I don't have a central dust collection here. I don't have the space for it. I can't allow the space, like, give up the space here in my shop for it. I don't like the idea of pipes running all over the place. First of all, it will interfere with the thing that I have here. That's the camera gantry that's filming right now, which is way more useful to me here in this shop than central dust collection would be. Now that the vacuum's done, I can clean up the shop and get that ready for the next project. In the meantime, I've got some video editing that I need to do this week for a build series. Also, I need to make the build video for the shop vac. That'll go on my main channel. And if you're into the CNC stuff, I've got the 1/4-inch Colette that came yesterday. So I'm good to go when I get back into that.
I can't help how I look. Besides, it's not what's on the outside that matters, it's what's on the inside. No, it isn't. Want to see what's on the inside of me?
Wait, I've got an idea. Why don't you put this paper bag over your head, Ugly Bob?
Yes, if people can't see your face, they won't know how wretchedly ugly you are.